Hey YouTube, Danny here, Bugman5060. Going to try to do a test. Something I've been wanting to prove is some issues with using a tuner and having some different values for your IPR, ICP readings on a 6.0 Power Stroke. I think the tuners can mess with those readings, but that's something I want to prove. I haven't found a YouTube video yet showing this. If you look up HPO or HPOP issues or ICP, IPR issues, trying to Google up those, usually end up with the no start, hot no start, cold long cranks, all those kind of videos show up, and that has to start dealing with seals and whatnot. What I'm trying to diagnose too before a major rebuild is going to partake, because I do have fuel in the degas bottle. I want to make sure that I don't need a high pressure oil pump before I'm diving into the truck. While I've got everything ripped apart to replace the heads, we might as well go ahead and replace the high pressure oil pump if it needs to. If I don't need it, I'm not going to replace it. It is a 2005. They call them the square pump. It's not the round aluminum pump on the 03s and early 04s. These are known for not going out. They're a really good pump, but my truck has 199,000 miles on it and a little change. So we are talking about a pump that could be weak. It could be lasting forever. A lot of internet forums I found, people are running 400,000 miles on these pumps without a problem. There's other ones that have gone out, in 20, 30,000 miles, but it's very, very rare on these square body style pumps. The round pumps, they're a complete gamble. You never know with those, unless Adrenaline, I've heard, were really good pumps. So if you do have the older round body pump, look for those style pumps, that brand of pump. So I'll have to get the truck warmed up, and I like to show the kind of readings, show that it is cold. It's not that cold here. I'm in Illinois, but we're still hovering around, I think, 40 degrees or so outside. But I'm going to try to show all the numbers as I progress, and then it's tuned right now on a moderate tune, kind of a middle of the road. I have a tow tune, and I can't remember what the middle one's called. It's been so long since I put it on there. And then I have an extreme tune, which I never run because my truck was not studded. And at this point in time, I don't know that I actually have a blown head gasket, but I assume I do. It is starting to puke coolant out of the degas bottle, and that's not from overfilling. The funny part is I'm getting coolant in the degas bottle, but it's actually not overfilling it, so I'm losing coolant somewhere and gaining fuel in the process. I did suck some out because while it's a brand new degas bottle, it's a little darker outside, so it might be easier to see. There's your fuel on top of the red coolant. I let that settle out so I can nicely see it. I am a little nervous that might be a little bit of oil residual, and they're just little. I don't know if this will focus, but that is a problem I'm having. A lot of work had been done to my truck after I had bought it and bulletproofed it all but the head studs. And as you can see, I have part of this going on here. I do need a new oil cooler. I've got really bad deltas right now. So yes, it's a brand new Ford OEM. Don't buy Dorman, don't buy the other junk. The Max Force is the brand name for the Ford OEM. So if you do run into that, I did go with Felpro head gaskets. And whenever you buy, or anytime you take the exhaust manifolds off, you have to do gaskets for that. They will not reseal perfectly. I mean, there's a chance they will. Everything I hear is it's just best to buy the gaskets, put them on. New 6.4 style push rods. I am getting Kill Devil diesel heads. Now granted, I'll tell my wife while I was at it, I went ahead and got the Tim Blade Casey Turbo drop-in turbine, because I already have a Wicked Wheel 2 on there for the compressor side of it, and I'd love to have the higher whistle. So that is about the only thing that I actually am adding to the truck that's not a part of needed necessities for it right now. And of course, I mean, I have a lot of my testing tools because I'm going to be doing a lot more testing. IPR, so I could deadhead it. The ICP testing, I believe some of those are for the 7.3 and the 6.0. They give you both of them in the package. That was actually my old IPR, and it's fine. I put a brand new one on there earlier. That was part of the testing I did months ago to see if I was having an issue with my IPR, and it was not the IPR whatsoever. Nothing changed. Of course, I have a gauge on my fuel pressure regulator, and the new gauge I put on, it blew. It was a cheapo, and it's maxed out, so it's not working. Well, I guess I did. I'm putting upfitter switches in. It's 2005, so this is the model for the upfitter switches. And in November when I was working on it, I did notice I had a couple bad wires on my injector harness, so I've got a brand new injector harness as well to put on. I was really hoping when the UPS showed up today that my Kill Devil Diesel 6.0 O-ringed heads were showing up, and that was not them. The wife thought if I'm spending this much money on my truck, then I might as well, she might as well go and buy something for her. She went and got some new luggage. I was very disappointed. The box was a little lighter than two heads put into one box, and I'm assuming when they show up they'll probably be in two different boxes since they weigh 80 pounds each. But so I'm still missing some stuff. I know since I have fuel in the degas bottle, a lot of other techs that I've watched videos on, highly recommend going ahead and pulling the gasket and checking your front cover. I had just replaced the front main seal as well 2 months ago, so I'm a little not happy about having to pull that and possibly replace that front main seal, since now it has a wear ring on it, and I don't have the tool to remove the wear ring. So we'll have to do that. And I wanted to recheck my low pressure oil pump in the first place, just make sure, because when I replaced the front main seal, that is something I actually didn't do, was pull the oil pump out and check it. And that's a part of not being a full-time mechanic doing this kind of stuff. This is I'm a DIY guy, and I don't know all the stuff, and I didn't, catch that in one of my videos that, hey, while you're replacing a front main seal, always pull the damn low pressure oil pump out just to make sure you don't have marks on it. And the only thing I checked the front cover and made sure the front cover didn't have any marks on it. And but the videos I'd watched, they showed the guy, oh, it's, this is good. While you're here, you just checked it, and he put it right back on. He didn't actually pull the gears out. So anyway, let me get my truck, and we'll get this started and go from there. Okay, reconnect that. Kind of a little worried that that's not. There we go. All right, so we got our numbers. IPR is a little high right now. Usually goes right back down. I didn't realize I have this much of a difference on the coolant and oil starting off, so this may be possibly a bad sensor that I've been dealing with. I know it's already, the coolant will immediately take off from when you first start it, but I'll have to go back and relook at that on my video and see just how far apart when they are when I first started. I do have brand new sensors for both because I want to eliminate any issues when I put the brand new oil cooler in. So I'm going to drive around and get it warmed up, and then show some issues with the IPR. The other day it hit 87, which 85, 84 point something is actually where it's supposed to shut off. You won't get a higher reading than that, and I actually had it hit 87 on here. So I think that's where I wanted to document it and then take the tuner off, put it back to stock, and then show whether or not it reads correctly. Okay, I'm back. I think she's warm enough now. I'm about 5 miles out of town. I'm not on the interstate, so I'm trying to get it up to show just how bad the oil cooler is. I mean, just driving around 55, the oil cooler never looks too bad. Alright, let's get out here. Hopefully you can see this. Something I'll have to go back and look at. I'm trying to drive and watch. I actually believe that only hit 85.4, but I'll go back through the video and recheck it. Here, let's set our 55 miles per hour. Oh, see, now it went up. I wonder if I have a bad wire or the bad sensor. As fast as the oil temperature jumps up, and it should jump back down again. Either way, it's getting replaced. I know the oil cooler is not good. Is it completely fried? Probably not, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. And I do know I have one of those upgraded heavy-duty dormant oil coolers in it now, and I've had it in there for 40-some thousand miles. And when I first put it in, I was still getting 6 to 8 degree deltas. And when I pulled my trailer in the hot summer sun of Illinois, you know, 99 degrees, 100% humidity kind of stuff we get around here, my engine temps would hit 200, and it would hit about 210, 214. And I'd like to see, if possible, the new upgraded Ford OEM actually knocks that down, or if that's not too bad. But it's definitely not the 40 and 50 I've actually seen driving on the interstate at, you know, 70, 75 mile an hour. It gets real bad. And there's definitely a reason for that, the way I flushed it the last time. I can give you a tip: in the wintertime, don't use your water heater. The spigot on the bottom is nice to get hot water out of. I do it for getting hot water to fill my tanks for chemicals when I'm spraying, but there's sediment in it. I did find the sediment. It was coming in my filter and my tanks, and that's when I realized I think I pumped a bunch of sediment into my truck. The other part is my heater core seems to be plugged up. Occasionally I get some little bit of heat out of it, but most of the time it just shuts off completely. No heat whatsoever. Just blows freezing cold air. So anyway, I am going to just go ahead and get this pulled over and swap out the tunes back to stock, and then see what happens with it. Okay, we're back again. I feel like it takes 40 minutes to make a 10-minute video here. I do hope that is not upside down, because everything else is upside down. We'll find out. Okay. I think where I live there's more potholes than anything else. Alright, this is back to stock, so I'm going to give it a hard run. go quite as fast. It's about 10 miles off the mark I originally hit. And again, I'll have to go back through and watch this. I kind of saw 80 as my high. I'm going to hit it one more time just to see. Slow down. So I'll get home, check out the videos, and try to recap on this, see where we're at. So hey, I got a chance to watch the videos, so we'll recap. I will apologize now for the upside down last part right before this. I've tried to cut everything like a picture, it won't let me flip it, and I'm sorry, I don't feel like going back out and redoing it. So if you did turn your phone a little bit, you can get it, you can kind of see it and look at it. So very initially, I think when you cold soak your sensors, you don't really want to go over 3 degrees between the two sensors. I guess I was looking away, and those seem to actually be close enough. There's about 3 point something for, and so I don't think that's too bad. Like, I'm still going to replace them no matter what. It's been long enough, and you know, I need to look at the connectors as well, see if there's a bad connector. Hell, maybe I got to do a whole damn engine harness. It is possible, I know, to get those connectors. They do go bad. You break off tabs, things like that from them. You can get a little short in there, oil and whatnot, you know, as you're working on those. So anyway, that wasn't as bad as I thought. I kind of talked about it, thought they were kind of off, and the way they were dropping and bouncing. Anyway, so on the tuner, it looked like, I've got my notes over here, 85.4. I didn't hit the 87, you know, made me a liar, whatever. That's why I like this documentation. I like to go back on this video. It was really cool. I'm an older guy. I mean, I'm only 37, but it's nice to go back and see stuff and not second guess. You don't have to second guess it. You just look at the video and prove yourself. And now you have documentation. I like proof. Seeing 85.4, and it was about 2048 was the max number that I caught. And that's on middle of the road tune. Interesting, putting it back to stock, I hit 80.4 at max IPR. The ICP pressure, 3,900 and some change. So what's the tuner doing exactly? And that's, hey, if you've got some opinions, and you can give some guesses, I don't care. Your guess is as good as mine, unless you're an actual Ford injector engineer that knows exactly what the hell it is you're talking about. That would be wonderful. If I could get someone to say, hey, it's because when the tuner goes on, it keeps the spool valves open. It moves the spool valves at, 10 times the rate they normally move, so it's gushing the oil out. There's no way for the pressure to get above this, because it's got to be blowing pressure off from the injectors. Is the only thing I could do. You can't close down. The higher the number of the IPR, the more closed it is. If you hit that 85.4, it's closed. It's completely closed. Well, not technically completely closed. There's still some bleed off. But that's as close as it can get, is the 85.4. And if it could only hit 2,000 at that, something else is bleeding it off. But in stock form, nothing's bleeding because it was hitting 39. I'm happy with the 39 at a truck with 199,000 miles on it. I'm happy with 3,900 PSI for my ICP. Love it. That's great. I don't have a problem with that. Sure, can it fall on its face next freaking week? Yes. Am I going to spend the $800 for a Ford OEM HPOP. Not at this time unless the thing's bad. So I still will go through. I'm going to, first thing you got to do whenever you do air test, and I'll have a video on that down the road. Do your ICP first, so you blow all the oil out of the rails and the high pressure oil pump. Get that out of there first. If you deadhead it first with the IPR tester, you're trying to squeeze oil. The oil really doesn't have anywhere to go unless there's a good hole in an injector. Obviously, I don't have one. I have tested it before. It's right here. This is not the best tester in the world, but it did work to a certain degree. Just the rubber nipple on a very long air blower, and I shoved that into the hole. That's how I originally tested it. I didn't like it. It was the dumbest thing you could do, but I can only test the ICP to a certain degree with it, and just had the noise coming out that you can hear through the HPOP that you will hear, and nothing but I couldn't hold this down and then get over on the driver's side. So this was not, I went and bought the tools now. So there you have it. Give me some comments on this. Give me your guesses as well. I would absolutely love if a freaking Ford engineer that developed these injectors would get his ass on here and help us out. All of you that are watching this aren't watching it because you want to laugh at something, because you may be laughing, but you didn't get on here for America's Funniest Videos. You got on here because you're wanting to learn something, same as me. But we would love to hear from anybody who's actually worked on these, know the electronics part. I believe it gets down to the injectors, period. You can't close a valve off and have less pressure. It has nothing to do with the HPOP then. It has something to do with those injectors are bleeding off because of the tune when you go through the electronics. At least that's my belief. If I'm completely wrong, please help me out. Don't be rude on my channel. Give me decent opinions. Help me out. Help yourselves out. You're going to help other people out. Anyway, thank you for watching, and take her easy.